YouTube, how the heck you doing? This is Corey here with Watcher of Realms. I honestly was going to go ahead and do two separate videos, and then I realized there's no point in me doing two separate videos if the season's about to end. So why don't I just record both videos, make it one big video, and then release it so that you have the best chance of winning your attacks at least the last day off, right? So let's just go ahead and get straight to it. A couple of things to note: I did go ahead and attack a different team every single time. I didn't double hit a single team. Also, this is just straight off the top of my head. I was just cracking these teams. So let's see what we did. Let's see what worked. And then in the second half of this video, you'll see another chunk of attacks from a different guild. Right now, we are in Overlord. We'll just see how the table kind of breaks out. But ideally, as long as we go ahead and smash this guild, we should stay in Overlord. So let's just go straight to it. This is going to be a Piercer comp. Now, there's a little bit of a variation because they're using Torador. I have ran this team similarly myself, just with a little bit of different placements, but they chose to go ahead and do these placements. So a couple of things, we're going to go ahead and swarm it. The first thing we're going to go ahead and do is drop the rare tanks. Reason being is because I see a lot of physical damage here between Yovar and Silas, and honestly speaking, I just want to bait the ults. As long as my rare tanks are able to go and chunk out these ults, we should be good to start beginning the swarm setup here. So go ahead, Silas has ulted, Yovar has ulted. We're going to drop the Necro and the Healer. We're stacking them on top of each other. And one thing to note, I'm going to pause this. I actually waited about like 1 extra second because my ideal goal is to go ahead and waste as much of Silas's ult as possible without running the risk of getting my Necro or my Healer a little bit too close to where Silas nukes out the skeleton and then starts chunking out the Healer or the Necro. That's going to be a really bad sign if that does happen. So we go ahead and we kind of delay it. And here we go. One of the things here, Silas doesn't even go ahead and start triggering until the very end of his ult. If I dropped the units a little bit earlier, he would have started taking out these units, and then it would be a little bit bad news bears. But we're in a pretty good spot here. Then we go ahead and drop the next Necro. We're pretty good. We're tanking. Yovar ults, he's hitting the Necro, but it doesn't even matter. Our healer's here. Now, we drop these flyers for a very particular, specific reason. The reason is piercers will always go ahead and target airborne units. And as you see, Yovar is automatically focusing on these units. And now Silas is going ahead and starting to hit the flyers as well. And at this point, we're feeling really good. We're able to kind of start pushing through here. We drop one set of dogs in the second set. And we're going to go ahead and effortlessly just kind of push through here. Even though we're going to tank up, the Necro spawn, and we're pushing through. Even though we're kind of getting caught in these crystals, it doesn't even matter. It's pretty simple. We're just going to run through at this point. There you go. That's the Piercer team number 1. I think I attack another team that also has the Silas in it a little bit later down the line, but super simple. This is just an easy swarm. I makes it a little bit tricky because she's going to freeze up the units, but as long as you have the BP, it's pretty good. Also, most important thing, just time your drops when it comes to your units, because Silas has the ability to just nuke every single thing on the sun, right? Just whoosh, gone. So just time out his ultimates and you'll be pretty good. Next one is going to be a Nightmare team with Ymrit. Now, I actually like this team composition, and I even like the placement. The thing is, I just got the BP, at least right now. So we go ahead, we drop the tank and the Fool. Reason being is because we're going to go ahead and bait out Ymrit, and we're going to bait out Wukong. Wukong's going to ult. We take no damage. So let's slow this down. The next step is we're dropping a healer and we're dropping the tank. Reason being is because I know Ymrit is going to target this unit every single time. That's why you go ahead and put units here. As long as I go ahead and drop the healer should go ahead and give the Fool some additional sustain. And he doesn't. He dies. Oh well, it happens. Either way, the Fool goes ahead and gives a shield, and now these units are getting that extra heal. Next step is we're going to drop the double Necros. I believe I dropped doubles. Let's see. I do. So I dropped the double Necros. Reason being is because our healer is here, so we're pushing through. And also, I drop it at the back tile, specifically because whenever you drop it at the back tile, you're able to drop a healer basically immediately within range, and there's not that much variance. You pretty much get to drop the healer for free. And then we're looking really good. Our tanks are already starting to push through. Our healer is going to start giving some sustain to these necros and the skeletons, which forces Ymir to target over here. And when Ymir targets over here, what happens? These necros are basically taking no damage. And they're going to be able to spawn up another set in about 3 seconds here. And that sets us up really nicely to go ahead and drop the double dogs and just effortlessly pass through here. There we go. Dog set 1, dog set 2. Reason being is because we're kind of trying to bait out the hot ult, but we're lucky. And the skeletons go ahead and do it for us. And so we're pretty much able to just kind of waltz right through here with no difficulties. We're just kind of easily moving through here. So the reason why I stagger the dogs, once again, I'm trying to bait hot ult just in case. Also, 9 times out of 10, my dogs tank the hot ult, but you can't always just bet on it. You gotta be methodical with it. All right, so that's that team. The next team is, what is the next team? What was it? Is this team? Okay, so this is a standard Nightmare comp. I believe they place Arrogance up top. They do. All right, so let's go ahead and slow this down. So what you're going to see is a team similar to this, but you might see an Ardea and you might see a Mari here. It functions relatively similar, but the Ardea Mari team is Epic Tank, Rare Tank, Healer, Double Dogs. Most times. As long as you have the BP, it works. Anyways, we go ahead, we drop our tank, and we drop the Fool. Wukong is going to ult straight into the Fool shield, so he takes no damage. Also, this is a triple physical damage team, so truth be told, it's a lot easier to go ahead and this than going against a Ymir team. It's just way easier. So we go ahead and we drop the healer as well. Reason being is because we want to go ahead and give these units as much sustain as possible. As long as the Fool survives, he is basically able to go ahead and kind of create an immortal tank just because of the shields, and then the healer is going to do his job to fill up any HP loss whenever the shield is down. So we're looking really good here. The next step is probably going to drop 1 necro, 1 healer. And I do that, exactly. So the whole reason why I do this is because I wanted to go ahead and drop the necro and the healer to keep these units alive. Because remember, the win condition is keeping these tanks alive. If one of them dies, it gets infinitely harder. Because we have to deal with 6 block in totality, and we need to deal with Hatsa ult, which is going to take out some of the units that push through. And then Arrogance, he's also going to swap targets and deal damage to any unit that gets over here. So our goal is to keep the tanks alive. And now that we're kind of starting to push through, we're going to drop 1 set of the dogs and then probably stack this up and move through. And then when we get to the right amount of cost, drop the second set of dogs and ideally take out Arrogance. There we go. And at that point, I already knew that I won because Arrogance went down, but I dropped the second set of dogs just in case. And they should have survived either way, the Arrogance ult, because they would have taken maybe 1 or 2 hits, which should be good enough to push through and just make sure that Arrogance gets taken down. So pretty simple overall. I think this is the next team, right? No, I actually just did this team. I need to back out. Yeah, we just did this one. Okay. All right, the next one, I think this is the keep. This might have been the keep that I got bopped up. No, it's this one. Okay, Ingrid and Praetus. Oh, perfect. So this team, you're going to see a lot. I've made videos about how to beat this team, but man, is it a little bit tricky. So let's slow this down. I remember whenever I first dropped the video as to how to beat this team, I was 90% correct, 10% wrong. And this way to beat it is just so much better. It's so much better. So let's just go ahead and I'm going to take this really slow because you're going to probably see these teams very often. And it's easy to beat them because of this. As long as there's not 2 tanks, you can do this. Unless there's a Thalon here. If there's a Thalon here, then it just doesn't work. Thalon's going to ult like right over here and just take them out. But you can even bait Thalon by dropping a speed dude and then baiting out Thalon and then repeat the process. Doesn't matter at all. But here's what you do. 6 block, Ingrid, Praetus. Praetus is going to ult once they get to like this position, which is fine. Ingrid is going to start hitting once they get here, which is also fine. So let's just go ahead and run it down. What you do is you drop double bugs, epic bugs, right here. Right? So now you have 10 units running down. The next step is you want to go ahead and drop the rare bugs right here. Immediately at 3 costs. Now, what we're going to see happen, right, is the units are going to kind of come down this corridor. These bugs take the zap, and they are about to get stacked on top of each other right about now. And that's where we drop the Speed Brother. And what happens is all these units just pass through. Easy. Every single time that will work. Every single time. I can't tell you how many times I lost to this, and it forced me to go ahead and use a Reeve instead. And that's where the success came. But as long as they're using a tank and a DPS, this will work. Most importantly, they do have to be using Praetus and Ingrid. If they're using a Theowen, then you gotta use Axes, brother. I'm sorry. If they're using Theowen and just a normal Ingrid comp, you just gotta take out the tank. That's the only way. Now I go ahead and attack this team. I don't know what I did. Well, no, I know what I did. I trolled. I messed up. I did something wrong. But here's what we do. I go ahead and drop the tank and then the Fool. Reason being is I know that Torador is going to have 5 block because Dahlia. So there's extra block there. I dropped the Necro and the Healer. And the whole purpose of this is because I want my Fool to survive. And we do a pretty good job of it if you actually kind of like watch through here. The Healer does a pretty good job of keeping all these units decently healthy. Arrogance is going to ult, and here's where it gets tricky. Arrogance is going to do AoE damage and really start taking out all of these units right here. So we need the Necro to kind of stay out of this range, but I guess he kind of starts clipping in here. He tanks it, gets the Full shield. Okay, interesting. So he tanks it, but here's what happens. We drop the second Necro. Ideally, what's supposed to happen is we're going to take up all of Torador's block here, and then we drop the double dogs. That's where I messed up, actually. Right there. I literally see it. It's so obvious. I wait. If I wait and let the Necro kind of push forward, I am in a really good position. But because I dropped the dogs before the Necro can even start spawning up units, that's where it gets bad. Because, yeah, that's literally it. Because Arrogance is going to go ahead and tank because of Carnelian. That's why I lost. Timing, right? Timing and unit prioritization. That's 100% my bad. Good job. 100% my bad. This is a Torador, not Torador, this is a Praetus Valeron team. I don't like the double Lord flex when it is Arbiters. I just don't like it. I know why they're using Sargak. Sargak is out of Lily ult range, so Sargak is going to go ahead and ult and then basically have perma attack speed boost and all those benefits from him being low HP. But truth be told, Valeron does not perform well when he's not Lord. I've tested this with A4 Val, it just doesn't work. He'll do damage, but it's pale in comparison to what he normally does. Like, if this was Valeron as Lord, this tank would have been dead. He would be on the floor, gone, right? But as it stands, we're just tanking. Easy, no issues. And that's why we go ahead and drop the Necro and the Healer here, because as long as this unit is surviving and the Fool is out of Praetus range, he's taking no damage. So we have infinite sustain at this point. And now Praetus is going to ult, and he's going to target all the little skeletons. Right? And it doesn't even matter. He's hitting the skeletons, doesn't matter. Because we've already gone ahead and set up a lot of units with a lot of sustain. We're going to start healing here. And I believe... Do I drop double dogs here? I might actually just drop double dogs and yellow it. I do. Alright, so yeah, this is pretty simple. We're just going to pass through here. Very easy. And the reason why it works is literally just because Valeron is not the Lord. This team works infinitely better if Valeron's the Lord. Praetus is cool. Praetus is obviously cool, but Valeron's going to do more for you. At least with the comp that you're trying to like create, considering you're also using Sarak. It's no brainer. Anyways, final attack, at least for this chunk of the video. So I actually lost this team about 2 weeks ago. And I kind of thought about it like 3 a.m. I was like, why the hell did I lose? And then like my brain cells just like came to me and was like, you lost because you suck. And then I saw this team again. And I was like, I'm not going to suck today. So here's what you do. You go ahead, you drop your Pharaoh Guard, and then you drop your Fool. One of the critical issues with this team is Silas doesn't have the range. Comet also doesn't have the range. But importantly, if you pass Cyrus, Comet will ult. And if Comet ults, his ult is going to bounce from all the units and take out your Necros, take out your other units that are stacked up over here. That's literally how Comet works. So what you need to do is kind of stack tanks first, and then stack Necros, and then you can finish up the job. So what we do is we drop the Pharaoh Guard, drop the Fool, drop another Pharaoh Guard, healer, healer. Reason being is because now we have 4 units, but the 4 units aren't going to go ahead and create more units. They're just going to stick on Cyrus. So all of these units right here are useless. And we're giving sustain to the Fool, and then we're going to go ahead and give sustain to the overall Pharaoh Guards. So even though Eris is a monster, Eris has no abilities to do anything of significance. And look, our Fool is back to full HP, even though Eris went ahead and ulted. Next up, double Necros. Because now we've gone ahead and stacked up all our units right here. And what happens here, Eris is going to go ahead and ult. Doesn't matter. You have a Fool and 2 healers. You're not going to do much. Absolutely not. And so here we go. Comet goes ahead and ults, but the good thing is Comet is ulting into basically a tank line. One of the most important things that you have to remember is healers are actually very good at magic resistance. They have like really good magic defense. So all of this means nothing. We're just going to tank through it. And now we have 10 costs to just drop the double dogs and just run it down. Even though Silas is ulted, he's dealing with so many units, it literally doesn't even matter. The dogs don't even do anything for us. Like, they really don't. They were just an extra insurance policy. Because the Necros would have just kept spawning up, and it would have been GG. Anyways, I'm going to hop over to the next side of the video here. So YouTube, how the heck you doing? This is Corey here at Watcher of Realms. This is going to be another VOD review. This is basically the second to last one for the season 7, so let's just go straight to it. There's a lot of Nightmare teams. This is I think they're a Russian guild or Ukrainian, one of the two. I could also just be really wrong, but we went ahead and went against them. So this is the Overlord battle. I think we're number 26 right now, and they're 24, 25, something like that. So it's definitely a good one. I actually messed up here and dropped double Fools, which is honestly, I don't know how this happened. It just kind of happened. And then we go ahead and drop the tank, which is right about now. There we go. So honestly speaking, this run should have failed. Because obviously I'm dropping the double Fools here. They're going to go ahead and get taken out by Arrogance, and Haas is going to chunk them out, respectively, like right now. Now also you see Abomination here. The reason why Abomination is being used is because his goal is essentially to go ahead and ult and then deal with any swarms that are going to develop. He's a really good counter to swarms just because whenever he is in that ulted state, he gets that extra range, and he's basically just going to wail at the actual units that are going to spawn up in front of Torador, and he can be pretty good at it overall, especially whenever he's built properly. So at this point, he goes ahead and inflicts his rage, he goes ahead and ults, and now he's in his permanent ulted state. So he's just going to go ahead and constantly chunk out these units here, but it's okay because we have enough sustain with this tank right here to kind of deal with it. Enough for us to go ahead and start setting up the Necros. And here we go. They're going to kind of run down. And even though Abomination is doing a lot of work in terms of just AoE hitting, he's not really doing enough damage overall, and that's one of the most important factors as to why this run is currently struggling. Abomination is just not doing enough damage compared to the amount of sustain that we already have kind of developing on the field. And now we drop the double dogs. Pretty simple, and we should just kind of pass through here. And we do. Pretty simple. Now I think I go ahead and attack this twice. I think I'll lose the second one, interestingly enough. So let's just go ahead and see actually what interactions happen to cause the second one to fail. Let's see here. The US client's interesting now. Here we go. Yep, I actually double hit it. So this time I actually go ahead and drop the Templars first, but somehow I fail. So it's very, very possible that maybe Arrogance just gets a lot of double hits. Maybe Abomination does, but we'll just kind of see. So this is fine. This is like really standard. Nothing crazy here. Arrogance, ults, all this is standard. The main thing that I want to see is what happens with Abomination, because Abomination just starts taking out my units pretty quickly here. So all this is normal. Arrogance, ults. I feel like Arrogance did nothing too much. Actually, our tank is kind of low now. He is getting some damage. And then Abomination has ulted. So here's where things get interesting. Abomination is pretty much solo taking out these Necro Swarms. They're getting stunned up and locked. That's what's happening. And Abomination is tanking pretty well. Like, the units aren't even able to get to him. That's how this fails. Interesting, okay. So it looks like this run fails mainly just because Torador stuns a lot of the units as they're starting to pass through. And Abomination just got a free hit. And he's just kind of smacking all these units pretty much for free. And then Arrogance is just taking out the backline. So, okay, makes sense. Makes complete sense as to why that failed. A little bit unlucky, but sometimes that's how the game goes. Alright, I think we're going to run here. In terms of successful attacks. Is this the keep? This might have been. Let's see. I do swarm it, so I'm inclined to believe that this is... Oh, it's not. Interesting. Okay, so they go ahead and use the Nora here. Now, one of the things with the Nora is, one, she's going to do a lot of magic damage. However, she's only really going to be super relevant if you're going ahead and using her with Ymrit. Like, at least having her bonded. If you don't have her bonded, then you're kind of trolling. I do think that this is bonded. It looks like it, but nothing too crazy. One of the main drawbacks for this team is they are using Ajax. Honestly, if they used Ymrit in this particular tile here, or this tile, it would have been way better. Ymrit would have started taking down the Fool, and there'd be no opportunity for anything to really develop. But I guess they chose not to go ahead and use Ymrit with this. So we're looking pretty good. The Pharaoh Guard's tanking. We also have the healer right here. So the second that this healer gets into this position, he's pretty much going to recuperate all the HP lost by this Pharaoh Guard to where it basically negates anything that Nora and Ajax did. And now that we have this kind of really set up, we can drop the double Necros in a second here. Double Necros. And now we've baited out Ajax ult, and we're perfectly timed to go ahead and also use or bait out Nora's ult. And then, because all the ults are down, we know that Ajax is going to really be that deadly. We also know that Nora's not going to be that deadly. So we can go ahead and drop dogs shortly after this. And we should be good to go ahead and just kind of take care of this and win. So let's speed this up. There we go. It looks like we're going to wait out the Ajax ult. And we do. Then we drop the dogs. And there we go. Perfect. Now, the reason why you wait out Ajax ult is because, honestly speaking, even though Ajax doesn't do a lot of damage up front, whenever he does ult, that's when he's really just going to wipe out your dogs. So, easier to just wait it out, let him go ahead and get his ult out, and then run it down. Even though it can mess up with the times a little bit, it's just so much better. You double hit this. I'm going to see if there's anything that I notice I dislike. Well, first thing I dislike is actually Ezreal. I feel like if you're going to use Ezreal here, you might as well just use like Elwyn in my opinion, or a Lily. Elwyn mainly so you can go ahead and get the extra rage regen on Ajax so he can ult more frequently. You're not really going to benefit with a Nora getting more rage regen because it doesn't work in that fashion. But Wukong getting more ults, that's nice. The main thing is giving Ajax the opportunity to ult more. Honestly speaking, I also don't even like this placement. I don't think Ajax is really doing much help here. He is hitting these tiles, but he's just not doing enough overall. And that's why the dogs just kind of run through. Honestly, this run is over, and we didn't even drop the dogs. So, yeah. I just think Ajax in that position doesn't really help. Or maybe it's a Nora. Maybe a Nora is not doing what she needs to do in terms of a damage dealer and CC to prevent swarms from developing. That's probably more likely the case than anything else. Alright, this is another Abomination team. However, this is an Abomination keep, which is interesting because this guild seems to like Abomination. I get it, especially whenever you go ahead and pair him with his exclusive artifact. He gets those instantaneous and basically permanent ult state to where any swarm developing just gets knocked out. But he is using Key of the Forsaken. We saw it flash over Abomination's head, so we know that Abomination is going to be a little bit more tanky and not really do as much damage. He's mainly just going to kind of tank up. So, as long as our units over here are able to tank up Ajax, we should be pretty good to go ahead and drop the double dogs right about now. Especially because we went ahead and baited out a hot set ult, and we were able to just run straight through. Pretty standard, pretty simple, right? If you can go ahead and bait out Ajax ult and survive, you can pretty much win the round 9 times out of 10. Barring something crazy happens. So 9 times out of 10 you win. Let's see. I'm going to skip the next one because I think we double hit it. Yeah, we do. So I'm going to go ahead and look at the ones that I lost just to see if there's anything that I can learn from it. So yeah. This is going to be a cult, or not cult, it's an esoteric team. This is the perfect setup, the perfect build for a good esoteric team. You got Cyrus facing backwards, you got a Nora. I wouldn't even mind if Mario wasn't here and if it was Boreas, but I can't complain I lost it, right? And then Ymrit is also faced here. All in all, perfect build. Only thing I don't like is Carnelian, but I think they went ahead and fixed Carnelian so her passive works with Cyrus. So that's a positive. But as it stands, the main hope is to go ahead and swarm this team. So we need to go ahead and have the Pharaoh Guard first, and then we drop the Fool, give him some sustain, a second Pharaoh Guard, and then we're going to go ahead and flip straight into a healer. There we go. And the reason for that is because we really want all of our units to remain tanky and survive. Because if they're able to go ahead and deal with Ymrit and Nora, then we're feeling pretty good. The next step at this point, because we're getting that sustain, I probably personally should have dropped a second set of healers just to make sure all the units are topped up. But I believe I wait and drop the double necros. So let's speed this up. There we go. And look here, right? We're starting to take some damage. A second healer is dropped. Actually, I don't drop the double necros, but I'm almost too slow. I'm almost behind the curve because look, all these units are already dead. If I dropped the healer earlier, now we would have been fine. So that's probably what ends this run overall. It's just a little bit too late on dropping that healer. All the units could have survived. And there we go. We go ahead and proc Mario. The necros are starting to kind of run through here. One set of dogs. Wait. Then I'm going to drop the second set of dogs. But overall, a couple of things that I didn't like. Staggering, like waiting too long at that healer definitely hurt. And then secondly, I do think if I just dropped the healer earlier, I would have had the clearance to go drop the necros earlier, which would have given me the clearance to essentially drop the double dogs. And honestly, if I waited and dropped double dogs versus staggering them, would have probably been better overall. So multiple things to take away from that. Multiple trolls on my end. Let's see. I believe this might be the last one. So this is going to be a Nightmare team as well. They are using Abomination, but he's in his exclusive artifact. There you go. So that's perfect. Perfect build. We're going to basically just try to go ahead and swarm this. However, what you'll see is Abomination takes no part in it. He goes ahead and basically just solos all the necro spawns, solos the tank. He just goes full raid boss and deals with everything. And the reason why it works is because this map is so long, he's able to insta ult from his passive, or not passive, his exclusive artifact, and then by the time units start to get to him, he's already in another set of ulted state, which is permanent. Also, Ajax, in this particular case, Ajax is just strong. He was just doing a ton of damage, and my units just weren't able to go ahead and push through. Abomination is taking care of the ground units very effectively, and then Ajax kind of just cleans up the rest. So, what can you do? It happens. Anyways, I don't want to go ahead and yap too much. Hopefully you got something. Hopefully you got something from it. See ya.